Hey guys, Lancy here. Hope everyone's doing well. Thanks for joining me to look into some more MTG market makers for the week. And what a week it has been. Not only has things changed a lot in the markets, things have changed a lot in the Magic community as well, especially with Rudy losing most of his head in the last couple of days, where he's just gone off at Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast because they've done such a bad job of managing the company. Weirdly enough, I feel like the person that was as disconnected as Wizards of the Coast was Rudy. So for him to jump on in the last week to the hate Hasbro bandwagon, yeah, sure, he's got a lot of money tied up, but I'm pretty sure the consumer was saying that we are price sensitive back in 2020. Not everyone got free money thrown at them, especially people outside of the US. And I can tell you, outside of buying dual lands for as low as I can back in 2020, I wasn't touching any of the Magic stuff at all. And I didn't do much of that for the last 2.5 years. Mostly I stuck with the dual lands wherever I could get them cheap, and when they went up in price, I kept tabs on them. But the average cost, dollar cost averaging is the way you're meant to go anyways. Don't go all in, because otherwise you never know when you're going to hit the top, and you can just get better returns if you just dollar cost average. So what are we going to look at today? We're going to look at the dual lands, revised edition mainly, and figure out what TCG player is thinking that their value is currently. So, starting with Badlands, lightly played, $362. Not bad. $354 for moderately played. I feel like these prices have gone up slightly in the last couple of weeks. Oh, should I say the last couple of days? But they're still much lower than they were, and there's a chance that Rudy is right. The buy list prices are much lower than this. So I would not recommend selling your cards to these guys unless you're really, really desperate, because you're making a loss. If you took out a loan to get these cards, don't ever take out a loan to get cards. Don't take out a loan unless it's a mortgage. That's literally the only loan that's worth anything, and even that loan is worth a hell of a lot less than it used to be a couple of months ago. Now it's actually quite a painful loan to take. So moving over to Plateau. Plateau, revised edition, heavily played. No, not right now. Okay, so you can see that there's been a massive bump in Plateau. $317 average, now $322. When I say massive, that's a $5. Lightly played, $303. Actually, not that bad of a price at all for picking up. Bayou, continuing on, it has taken quite a bit of a dump, and it is still dumping. But what can we get for that? A near mid for $432? Sure, that doesn't sound terrible, but I need to go back and remember what I paid for back in 2020. Does it track that? Nah, just from the peak of 2021. Whatever. Savannah, what is happening with Savannah in TCG Player? Heavily played for 277. Nah. Lightly played for 319. Better. Scrublands, still dropping by the looks of it. A bit of a bump up in the last couple of days. A lightly played is $289. That actually doesn't sound that bad at all. That's starting to feel in a similar price range to 2020, at least for some of these. They're like maybe late 2020 before the 2021 bump. But yeah, there's still a decent chunk price dip for a lot of these. Tiger, a big one for me. Still pretty high, up $6 from its bottom. Lightly played for $314. Now remember, that's US dollars. I'll be paying an extra 35% on top of that, so that's almost $415 or something for me if I was going to get that card. And a Tropical Island, $459. What is it doing? Actually still dropping. A near mint is $528. That's on an average end. I feel like I paid probably about $400 a while back. But now that I think about it, you never know if you're going to get a near mint or a lightly played. So things might have been a bit harder to get a near mint back then as well. So Underground Sea. Underground Sea is dropping from a high of $1,299. Okay. A damage? No, we don't want a damage. We want a lightly played for $675. On the high end, like I said, that'll be around about $900. Wait, 900? Probably about $800 for us. But is it worth it? I don't know. I had to go back and check the history. I think for a lot of these, I can actually check that history. It is probably going to go a bit lower, but at some point it's going to find a bottom. It is already much lower than what it was. You've got to remember, it was $1,299 just a couple of months ago. And now it's sitting around about a lightly played near mid for $703. So these prices are far more reasonable now. And last, Volcanic Island. I'm going through these pretty fast, but mainly because what I want to cover is the prices, and then look at what the markets are doing and see if we can make some predictions. So lightly played, $759. Average, yeah, sure, that's not too bad for a Volcanic Island. Moving over to MTG Goldfish to see what the weekly movers are. Anything that's above 10%, you've got a Reckless Stormseeker from Innistrad sitting at $5.98, 43% increase. Adeline Resplendent Cathar, a 15% increase to now sit at $11.51. Brutal Cathar, 38% gain to now sit at $3.95. Sarith, the Viper's Fang, an 18% gain to now sit at $18. Haughty Gin, $2.86 to get 18% increase. And Jadar, Ghoul Caller of Neflea, 16% gain to now sit at $2.88. Biggest drops, Reckoner, Bankbuster, 11% drop, $3.32. Moving over to Modern, Achromos Memorial, 10% gain to now sit at $15.63. Accum Dugson, 23% gain to now sit at $7.25, obviously Artifact. Mirrodin Besieged, Artifact, $3.70 to now sit at $3.70, 47% gain this week. And the biggest drops, Prince of Thralls, a 14% drop to now sit at $15.87. And Pioneer, Cavalier of Flames, 48% gain to now sit at $5.66. Herald of Secrets Streams, 33% gain to now sit at $5.95. Sovereign Console Flagship, a 22% gain to now sit at $7.55. Rankle Master of Pranks, a 10% gain to now sit at $7.75. Tergrid God of Fright, a 16% gain to now sit at $4.64. And Cathilian Hero of Akros, 10% gain to now sit at $6.58. And the biggest drop, Mox Amber, 13% drop to now sit at $4.80. This card actually has been dropping quite a bit. And Thing in the Ice, 12% gain. That's a 13% drop. 13% drop for Thing in the Ice, $8.54. So why did I say that I want to go and check out the market? If people are still watching until this point, what I'm seeing is very interesting, I guess. We had a talk a couple of days, maybe last week or something, about what the dollar is going to do, bounce its head up and maybe drop down. What the markets might do, which is if the dollar drops, the markets will go up. And the dollar has dropped. The dollar has dropped quite a bit. And this purple line right here is the 200-day moving average. And I'm looking at this on the 200-day. I can look at the momentum for the dollar has gotten quite weak with all this talk about peace in Ukraine, leaders talking to China to see if they can get the supply line back. Just a lot of comms going backwards and forwards. That's making it look relatively bullish, even in this high interest rate market, for at least the dollar to weaken from its all-time highs that it's running into for the last couple of months. But this 200-day moving average is very, very important. If the dollar, and I guess people will have to track this in their own way, breaks below 105 on the DXY, then there is a chance, especially if it retests it over the next couple of weeks, there is a chance that prices of cards and other products might increase or stabilize. So, what am I saying? Dollar costing average is always good into anything that you want to gather over time, especially if you have disposable income and some cash set aside for safety. But if the dollar breaks, touches, and then drops, I will probably keep an eye on what's happening with the magic market and start buying in a bit more aggressively when that rejection happens for the dollar, if it drops. Now the reason why I'm saying if is because this is very tough to break. And there's a much higher chance, at least for now, because it's oversold, the dollar's oversold on the daily and all that stuff, that it's going to bounce. If it does bounce, then it's got some resistance that it's going to hit. 1, 2, 3, couple of different resistances. It's going to be a tough one for it to break out. So keep an eye on what's happening with the US dollar. Now, I think someone wanted me to check what Canada was doing. Canada is insanely strong. I don't know what is going on. Someone explained to me why Canada's currency is so strong right now. So this is Australian dollars to Canadian dollars. And Australia's economy, I thought, was actually very similar to Canada's economy, but obviously we've done something wrong. Over 2021, Canada has mostly done better than Australia by, what is that, 13%? And Australia's done well as well, I think. So let me know if I'm reading this right, but I'm pretty sure AUD to Canada, which is currently 86, $1 in Australia, it can buy 86 cents in Canada. Right now, it's about 90 cents. So there's a bit of a bump that it had over the last month. But yeah, overall, Canada seems to be a bit more resilient. And if this falls over, there's a chance that the Australian dollar is going to lose more value. So USD to Canada, head and shoulders, breakdown. So the USD is a lot weaker to Canadian dollars now. And there's a chance that it might drop to $7. 7% drop. But, that's not a massive drop. If I was looking at AUD to USD, from the peak to the trough, we have dropped, that was 22%, but I don't want to go that far, 15.47%. So I think Canada's still got a couple of, what are you guys at? 5 to 7%. So somehow almost double the strength, or I don't know how to explain it. Twice as strong as Australian dollar in terms of what you can store with Canadian dollar. So some strength there. Someone can explain to me what's going on there. Apple below the 200-day moving average. Tesla below the 200-day moving average. It might be okay. There's a bit of a bounce coming. The VIX looks like it's about to take off. And if that does, then it doesn't really matter what everything else does because they're all going to drop. The volatility index means that the amount of stocks move up or down. I guess they could move up, volatile, but there's a much higher chance of them moving down, so gold and all those things will drop. Gold, not above the 200-day moving average. This might be a good time to, I was going to say sell, but it's so bad to miss out on the 2000. If you're holding on to gold physically, then that's fine. Same thing with silver. There's a chance that they might drop further, but it really does depend on what happens with the interest rates. US 10-year breaking the 20-day moving average. Is that the 50? The 50-day is obviously already gone. 20, 50. 200-day, pretty far from it, but there's a chance it might get close. And yeah, I guess I can cover other stuff. The rejection of the copper. Dr. Copper is still predicting that it's having trouble making it above the 200-day moving average, which means that we're no longer in a bull market for commodities. Copper usually leads it. US oil and UK oil. Obviously, oil is a weird one. We're going to have to keep an eye on that overall. So, going back to the dollar. If the dollar gets super weak, then prices of other assets will go up around the world, unless the dollar gets weak for a bad reason, like something is broken. But if something is broken, then I'm sure the news will cover it first. Right now, it looks like the dollar doesn't want to break here right now because it's already oversold. But if it does break, then look at the news to see what's happened, because this resistance will only break if the Federal Reserve comes out and says we are not increasing interest rate at all next month because the economy looks really bad. If they say, now we don't really care what the economy is doing, we need it to look bad, there's a chance that the dollar might go back up. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good day and see you next time.